All right, awesome. So my name is Nafil Arshad. First of all, thank you all so much for joining our KINPALS and SLG panel today. Our goal for today is to share information, advice, and resources that can be useful throughout your kinesiology degree. We are pleased to have both the KINPALS and SLG leaders in our panel today, so I would like to thank them all for taking time out for their busy days to join us. We will now introduce ourselves with our name, pronouns, if you're a KINPAL or an SLG leader, and the land which you work, learn, and play on. I would like to begin by acknowledging that at UFE we work, learn, and play on the land of the Stolo people. Again, I am Nafil Arshad. My pronouns are he, him. I am the KINSA events coordinator, and I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people.
Right. So I'm Sam. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the KINSA president as well as a KINPAL. And I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coastal Salish people.
So my name is Katrina Frankenberger. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the KINSA vice president, and then I'm also an SLG leader and a KINPAL. And I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people as well.
My name is Karis. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth-year kin student, and I'm also an SLG leader. I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people as well.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah Bilmer. I am a third-year kinesiology student at UFE. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm just recently a KINPAL this year. I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people.
Hi everyone, my name is Monique. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in my fourth year in the KIN program, and I am a KINPAL. I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people.
Hi everyone, my name is Aziz Ghafoor. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a third-year kinesiology student and a KINPAL, and I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a fifth-year kinesiology student, and I'm also an SLG leader for KIN 270. And I work, learn, and play on the land of the Coast Salish people as well.
Sorry, I had myself muted. Thank you everyone for introducing yourself. So just to start off with the questions, our first question is that we have listed here is, how do I email or talk to professors? So Sam, do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, so when you're emailing your professors, it's really important to be professional. These are people that you're going to talk to throughout your professional life and throughout your degree. So you have to always start with, the first email I always send at least starts with hello, let's say for Dr. Joanna Shepard, be hello, Dr. Shepard, or hello, Dr. Joanna Shepard. And then you can start with your email, make sure that's written professionally. So, you're writing it as if you were writing, maybe a professional paper or something. This is an email, not a text to one of your best friends, right? And then make sure at the end you say, thank you or sincerely, then your name. And a lot of times they like your course number as well, because they have a lot of students. So if I took KIN 360 with her, I would put that under my name as well. So I think anyone else wants to add to that?
Yeah, I would say one thing I always learn from Dr. Joanna Shepard's class is to also say, I hope this email finds you well, as one of the first lines, just as a little bit of an introduction. And then I also put, sometimes I put the course number, and then I also put my student number. And my big tip is also just to read it back out loud, because sometimes I find little typos and stuff. So just read it back out loud, make sure it sounds okay, check for typos, and you'll probably be okay.
I would add something as well, sorry. So just obviously, I was gonna say for the title of the email, just like write something that's kind of like simple and clear. So like, for example, like I always do like, just an example, like KIN 103, and then the like whatever course I'm in, like online 1, and then I would put like question regarding assignment 1, and then obviously continue with what Sam said.
Profs will happily respond to you, usually within business hours during the work week. But just, yeah, you can expect not really to receive emails back on the weekends if you're in a panic. And another cool thing I've noted this semester is that a lot of profs are willing to set up like web chats with you over Blackboard. So that's definitely something to take advantage of if you just need more of a conversation with them.
Awesome. Those are amazing answers. So for our second question, how can I check my grades for my classes? Katrina?
I think this one's pretty simple. For the most part, it's just going to my grades on Blackboard, and then it should be under each individual course. You can find your grades there. They're usually updated pretty quickly for most professors, and if there's any problem with them, then you can always email. And one thing I found with online exams, because that's kind of new, is if I don't hit submit on an exam, but it just times out on me, then it will say something like turned in late or not able to be graded. That's just a weird thing with online. Do not panic about that. That's just something that they say to you, but professors get your exams no matter what, and then they grade them. So I remember my first online class, I did that, and I emailed my professor in absolute panic, thought that I was gonna fail, and they're like, oh no, it's not a big deal, the system just does that.
Awesome. Thank you, Katrina. Our third question is, where do I go for help if I need help with my courses? So what kind of resources?
I can start us off with that. So kind of like everyone we have here. So you can reach out to your KINPAL or an SLG leader if your course is supported by SLG. I think Katrina and Sarah can talk more maybe about that as well. But there's also the Academic Success Center on both Abbotsford and Chilliwack campus. It's in the building with the library in Abbotsford, and it's in the library in Chilliwack. So both of those have on-campus tutors.
I would just like to add to that. So usually in the course syllabus, the professors also put in their office hours. So they're usually available for a certain amount of hours during the week. And that's also a time where you could go and talk to them if you're struggling with any of the content in your course.
I would also like to add to that. It's better to make some study groups as well with some of the people in your classes. So as of recent, I know on a couple of UFE textbook exchange groups and such, some people have actually posted their courses. For example, I'm in KIN, of course, so it would be like, oh, I'm in UFE KIN 362. And then some people who are also in 362 are like, hey, let's make a group chat. And that way it's a lot easier to mingle around with people who are in the same class, and they can help you with a lot of the same assignments as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those answers.
Hang on, I'll jump in quickly about SLG plug. So if you're in KIN 170, 270, or KIN 163, and also the 170 lab, then you should be supported by an SLG leader. So they'll probably have connected with you already, but they run study sessions. I am biased, obviously, because I'm an SLG leader, but I think they're super, super helpful. I went to them as a student, so I would highly recommend checking out SLG as a resource. It's also a really good way to get to know your classmates, especially if you're a first year student, don't know a ton of people. If you go to SLG, you'll already have a couple friends and a couple people you know that you can reach out to in your class.
Yeah, thanks for bringing them to us, SLG, Katrina. So for our fourth question, what can I do to get involved at UFE? Karis?
Start off a little bit, just kind of basic. One thing that I really learned throughout university, how important it is to kind of network. And like when you sit down in class, although we can't have that this semester with COVID. So kind of like, I was gonna say like how Monique said, like you can go ahead and make the groups, just network with people, have those conversations, ask them what they do. Most of my opportunities that I found out at UFE was through talking to friends and asking them like, hey, like what do you do around the school? Do you know what UFE has to offer? And I would also honestly recommend, like I wish I did this my first year, was just like review the website, look at UFE, click through all the little buttons. Like I've found so many more opportunities in my third year and then like later my second year, just looking through the website. So I'd highly recommend those two options, networking and then just like using the website as your Bible.
I'll add, oh, sorry, go ahead, Monique.
Sorry, what's it called? I was going to say that if you go on Instagram and you're not really tech savvy like I am, a lot of the clubs and associations, they'll post like little tidbits of knowledge about what's going on with their club or even some meeting times that they're available at. For example, not to be a plug, but the Kinsa and the general meetings today, so check it out. It's at 1, for example. So there's been a lot of posts around that. So it's always nice to like stay updated. So I'd say make sure to follow UFE Health or even some of the Instagram pages, and they'll tell you about the volunteer opportunities.
I'll add to that as well. If you talk to your professors, a lot of them do like research at the university as well. So a lot of the times they'll look for volunteers, or like you can even get a paid research assistant position. And it's sometimes posted on like the career page, like Hannah was saying on the website. But if you just like talk to your profs, they might have a couple opportunities for you to get involved, either volunteer or paid, which is always great. So check it out.
I wanted to add, in terms of events, going on the My Campus Life page has events listed for every club and association that is registered. So all the Kinsa events, any events there's like, philosophy club, biology club, all of those, as well as campus rec are listed there, and you can see them listed by day. But as well, like others were saying, following UFE pages on Instagram and Facebook. Events are posted there. All the Kinsa events are a great way to get involved. I mean, everything will be virtual this year, unfortunately, but just by joining that, you can see who else is participating and then maybe make connections that way.
And I guess another one, kind of a way that all of us are involved, is either becoming like a KINPAL or an SLG leader. With an SLG leader, you have to apply for that position, and there aren't a ton available. But to be a KINPAL, you just need to be outgoing, and I think they want people in their 3rd or 4th year of study, so just kind of an upper level student. But that's another way to really get involved. And it's once you are in those positions as like a KINPAL or something, then professors get to know you a little bit, and then when more opportunities come, then they'll think of you, and then you can get even more opportunities from there. So there's always, I think my main tip is always like, getting to know people, like other students, and then getting to know professors. And usually through word of mouth, a lot of stuff comes out of lots of ways to get involved.
Those are awesome answers. Thank you, everyone. So for our 5th question, where can I go to study at UFE? And if I can't go to UFE to study, how and where do you study at home?
Okay, I'll start with I mean, when we are at UFE, a lot of places with, Kin's on Chilliwack campus, so there is, kind of limited seating there, but the library is always nice and quiet if you're somebody who needs like a quiet space. There's also study rooms that you can book. And they do still allow people to go on campus right now. They have like signs on the tables saying whether it's clean or not. So if you do need to get out of your house, you can go there as well. Abbotsford campus, there's a student union building, which I believe is going to be opening this semester, but they were still a little unclear on that last time I spoke to them. But I think most of us are at home, so my biggest advice is to set up a designated study spot. So like that is where you work, that is what it's dedicated to, and for me, it helps me stay focused.
Another tip I have for studying at home that I'm going to be implementing this semester would be to kind of block out my time as if I had a real class. So if a class would normally be a 3-hour lecture, I'd tell myself, from 9 to 12 on Tuesdays, I'm going to work on this course. That's just a way that I'm kind of keeping myself on schedule.
Another thing I'm doing at home right now is I have a little sign, and it says like meet in progress or do not come in. So like right now it's up. But then otherwise, if I'm like it's like when I'm on campus and I'm kind of studying, but I'm also in like the main area by the CAF. So I'm like also welcoming interruptions. So it's a little bit more organic for me. So sometimes I'm like going to it, nose to the grind. And then other times I like to just leave it open that I can have like kind of chat with people a little bit. Cause that's just, as more of an extroverted person, I'm finding it a little bit difficult just to be shut up in my room the whole time. I need like a little bit of a mix. So I kind of like to have like sometimes pretend like I'm in class, like how Kara said, like a time blocked off, and then other times just take like little breaks, and I'm okay if people kind of come in and chat with me. So try to do what works best for you and what feels natural.
Thank you. Those are great answers. For our 6th question, what are the best ways to study for an exam, and what do you recommend?
Well,
Sorry, did you want to go first, Sam?
Sure, yeah, let's go, I guess, in semi order. So everybody, like I was going to start with anyways, everyone has different study techniques that work best for them. So it's really important to do something that suits you, not just what I find that works for me, because I swear by flashcards, and lots of people can't stand them, but that is basically all I use. But for KIN 170 in particular, so any like anatomy-based course, I found labeling things over and over and over again was super helpful as well. So like drawing the diagrams or printing them off and then labeling. But otherwise, I swear by, yeah, writing things out, like pen and paper, and flashcards. That's what I do anyways. And did you want to?
Also, sorry. I also think it's important to understand the concept or the material that you're studying, like not just purely trying to memorize it. I feel like it makes it easier to apply that to critical questions that are on exams. And another thing that I find really helpful is to find a study buddy, someone who's in the course with you as well, and then you guys like quizzing each other, testing each other on certain concepts. I think that helps a lot as well.
Yeah, just building on what Sam said, I like to kind of do like recall testing. So like I love flashcards as well. I like live off of them. But yeah, so just like recall testing, like writing it down, like putting some keywords on the front of the cue card, just so you know what's on the back and you know what you're like going to have to know. And then I obviously recommend like space studying. So like setting like, okay, like on like Monday to Friday, my test is on, let's say my test is on Friday. From Monday till Friday, I'm going to study X amount of hours between this period of time. And then that kind of helps. And make sure you're not overdoing it. You don't want to be like cramming it into like 4 hours. Like I've read some studies where it's actually really hard to recall a lot of the information when you cram a little too much. So yeah, if you do it kind of spaced out, you have a better chance of memorizing it for sure.
I'll say SLG for 163, 170, and 270. We always hold midterm or final exam review sessions. So a lot of the time, like I'll make a mock exam and the prof will like look over the exam and say like, yeah, this is good practice for the student. So if you can come to those, that's always helpful. And it also helps you kind of identify what areas you need to focus on for studying. So these sessions will be like a week before or a couple weeks before, and then you'll have time to review the material again and focus on those weaker spots that you might have had. I also find condensing your notes into a couple pages per chapter is helpful, and then you just have to study like 2 pages of your condensed notes instead of like 40 slides per chapter. So trying to like work smarter, not harder is really important, like Hannah said, so you don't get burnt out.
It's so funny that you, Hannah and Sam, you mentioned flashcards, because I've been trying for years to make flashcards work for me, but I hate them. I really love using a whiteboard and lots of different colors to draw out processes or diagrams and things. And I also really like teaching the material to people or like my cat or whatever. Those are things I think we do a lot in my SLG sessions, but of course you can also do them at home on your own.
There we go. So I guess my main one that I do is like fake testing myself. So I will just go through the slides and then I'll choose over a couple slides, make one sort of like practice question that will make me sum up all of those slides. And then I also like to, and it actually usually is correct, I like to predict what the long answer questions I think professors will do, and I'll write them out, and then I will, yeah, like teach somebody, just like Kara said, like I'll like talk to my parents about them, even though they don't really care, but I'll teach somebody, or I'll just speak out loud, like I'm in the car and I'll pretend like I'm talking about it, and I'll just make my own fake practice questions. Because I used to find like in my first year, I would try to just read things over, and then when it came to tests and they asked me a question, I completely blanked out. So now when I study as if I'm being like asked a question on a test, I find that my recall is a lot better and I'm not panicked and not really sure what to say. So I find that helps a lot.
I want to add to what Katrina was saying. So I also, when I use my flashcards, I say them out loud to myself and test myself. So, you know, I do it one way where I read like the full definition and then have to remember what that's the definition of. So like when you're learning a lot of vocabulary, and then I'll flip it around once I've gotten better at it. So I actually have to say the definition, but I do it all out loud, which I think really helps. And then when you're doing practice questions for an exam, like Katrina had mentioned, she like comes up with them. But I find a lot of profs will either give them to you, or the objectives for that lecture or that unit are good to make questions off of. So I'll like usually answer the unit objectives, and those tend to help.
Just to add to what Sam said, for a couple of like the cue cards and stuff, I use those to study as well. I know some people, they don't like having like the physical copies of them because they take forever to make. You can definitely check out Quizlet. A lot of the past students have uploaded decks, and Quizlet allows you to kind of make your own tests, even play games out of the material, and really interact with the material that you're learning. So that if maybe you don't like the cue cards, you could try out a game if that's easier for you, or you can try it like a test. And it's really helpful. So I would definitely check that out as well.
I'll add to that, if you do like flashcards, there's this desktop app that you can download called Anki, or Anki, I don't really know how you say it, but it's ANKI. And you basically like type in your question. You can do like a fill in the blank type question. You can upload diagrams or pictures and label them, but it's basically spaced repetition. So you do, let's say like 10 new cards every day, and then the next day you're going to have 10 new cards, and then you can rate how hard you found each card. So if you are really good at like the identifying bones in the body, you can rate those as easy, and you won't see them for like 4 days, but you're still going to get like 10 new cards every day, if that makes sense. So it's just like a really good way to stay on top of old material and incorporate new material. So I use that sometimes.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, everyone, for your answers. There's obviously so many ways that one can choose to study. For a seventh question, how can you make time for school along with the job and other extracurricular activities?
My advice is to be organized, manage your time wisely. There really is lots of time in a day if you plan for it. I know my first year, all I did was study. I didn't think I had time for literally anything else. But now, like work, school, like exercising, as long as I use my planner, use my calendar, everyone has a preference for which program they use, but write out the tasks I need to do for that day. I have a checklist of what I need to do. And if you, like Kara was saying earlier, if you block off time slots for a course, set to actually get your work done in that time, then you're going to have time to do the other things as well.
I also want to add to that. So I also think it's important not to rush yourself into everything like super fast and feel like you need to get involved in everything right away. I think it's important for students who are entering as a first year to get comfortable with the transition from high school into university. So get comfortable with the new studying methods, midterms and stuff like that. And once you're comfortable with the university lifestyle, I think then it's a good time to start getting involved into one or two extracurricular activities as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think it's been like a slow transition for me from like my first year now and like my last semester. I'm involved in quite a bit, but I don't think I would have been able to do this in my first year at all. Because much like Sam, like I just like sat down and studied and studied and studied, and felt like I didn't have a lot of time for anything else. But now I feel like when I do something, like if it's work, like I'm just doing work. I'm just focused on that task versus when I'm like at school, I'm just doing school, like I'm not kind of multitasking, if that is clear. Like I know what I have to do now in this time block, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I also am not like as structured as Sam. Like I hate having like, I'm doing this from like 10 to 12 because I feel really like angry if I can't get it done in that time block. So I just have a calendar in front of my desk with like due dates of everything, so I don't miss anything. But I'm a bit more flexible that way, but yeah, it's definitely like knowing what you can handle and easing into things, I would say too.
I guess I'll jump in. I totally am on Sam's wavelength. I have the exact same thing, like all these tasks to do, all these calendars. I was just going to recommend something I just did like yesterday, just to prep for online school, is I have, and this is extreme, so you can do a smaller version of this, but I have like 13 pages set out. Each page is a designated week in the school year, because we've got 13 weeks. So then on each page, I've got everything I need to do for my 4 courses. Due dates are highlighted, so everything that I have that is due that week, like a big assignment or an exam, is highlighted, so I know when that stuff's coming up. It's all in a binder, and then I also have an extra little space at the bottom of each of those pages for extra tasks to do for my extracurricular activities. So every week I know exactly what's coming, and I can flip to, like, I know on week 4 there's like 4 things due, so I can flip to that, and I know, okay, week 3, it may seem like there's not a ton to do right now, but I know there's a bunch of stuff coming up that's due. Because I find with online, things completely sneak up on me without professors in person reminding me, or like even just chatting with other students. That's when I remember, like, oh yeah, I have that paper due. So I'm making it a little bit more extreme this online semester, just to stay on top of things, because I find that I just forget when things are due. So make sure you write down those due dates, because if you're like me, you will forget them. And just try to make, a little bit of like a weekly plan and remember what's due, especially with all the discussion activities and the little assignments. And there's just a lot of little things that we're kind of doing now, which is a little bit different. So I have a 13-week plan. So we'll see how it goes.
Great. So for our 8th question, what are the best ways to meet new people at U of V?
That kind of goes off what we had said earlier about getting involved. So like Trina saying, you're joining SLG, there's people in those groups that you can meet up with, forming study groups, like I said, even through online. So connecting with people in your class and seeing if they want to, do a Zoom call or something to chat, and as well as joining any events that are happening, even virtually. Plug for the rest of Kin Week. On Wednesday, there's going to be live events. So during these, you can see who else is there, and then maybe connect with them, because if you're both there, you probably both have some similar interests.
I have advice for when we're back in person. I think at U of V, since we all don't live on campus, it's really easy just to go to class and then like Zoom home as soon as it's over. And I have just found throughout my degree, it's best if you kind of move in a little. And by that, I mean, you stay on campus and you study on campus. And I just find you're around people a lot more. You bump into classmates, and that is how I've kind of built some friendships.
Awesome, thanks. Our 9th question is, when am I able to see my professors outside of class time?
I can jump in on that. I think especially at UFE, professors are really flexible with like when you can see them. Like even if they put down an office hour, of course you can go visit them during their office hour. Right now, being virtual, that some people have their office hours, or they just do it by email. But honestly, even I've had professors who they have like strict office hours and I can't make it during that time. And I'll just email them and say, hey, like I have a quick question. Is there any time we can meet up? And they're happy to meet up. Back when we were in person, we would meet up in person, no problem. Now you can easily email them, and then you can do like a Zoom call, or I FaceTimed a professor last semester. Like they're usually, it's just a matter of kind of working with what works for both your schedules, but they're pretty flexible. Just make sure you send a good respectful email and you'll probably get a good answer back.
Great answer. For the 10th question, what are the best resources for me to study online, considering this whole transition to online classes?
We'll say for like 170 and 270, 272, if you take it, especially with Amber, she gives you a bunch of good online resources. One of them I think is just called like Physiology. I have it here. Physiologymodels.info is what it is. So that's one that's more for your upper level courses. You wouldn't usually use that in first year. It's pretty detailed. But there's tons of online resources for anatomy physiology stuff. If you just Google it, I don't know if maybe SLG leaders you have actual like sources, but that's what I've used.
I use Anatomy TV. I think that one's nice, and I used it even if I'm not necessarily being tested on anatomy stuff. I'm just very visual, so sometimes I find that I need like a good diagram or a model to help me sort of figure out a process. So I think it's just on, you can even get access to it from the UFE website. But if you just look up Anatomy TV, then you'll definitely find they just have lots of visuals of all the different body systems. And yeah, I find it good for anatomy and also physiology, just to get a good visual on things.
This is the greatest piece of wisdom I have to offer. Khan Academy, which maybe you've all heard of. I owe it my degree. It's like incredible. It's this website where they have teachers online who make little videos explaining lots of different subjects like chemistry, kin, like anatomy, physiology, biology. Just, I cannot recommend it more.
Yeah, YouTube videos can be really great resources as well. Just for, what is it called? There's one that I use all the time, and I'm trying to find the name of it because I cannot remember.
Is it the guy, the author who?
Yes.
What's that guy's name? He's so good.
Ninja Nerd?
No, I wasn't thinking of that one.
It's John Green's brother.
Exactly. Who is it?
Well, Crash Course. That's what it's called. So if you watch Crash Course, like physiology and biology, and even for like some other courses, if you're taking them as electives, they have some really great videos just to get a good overview of everything. And the whole video shows the whole process. So I found that really useful to try to visualize things. And yeah, but there's tons of videos like those out there, and like Khan Academy is videos as well. So those are great sources.
I use Khan Academy all the time. I love Sal. And I also use AK Lectures on YouTube. It's great because he's standing in front of a whiteboard, and it's just like you can pause and like zoom in and like see what he has written down. And I also really like videos because you can make them go faster. Like you can put them in 1.5 or 2 times speed, because sometimes Sal just talks so slow and I just want to like get through a 10-minute video. But yeah, AK Lectures and Khan Academy, even if like you're doing I'm doing a biology minor, so it's helped me a lot with chemistry, biology, and like anatomy, physiology stuff. They've been great.
Awesome, thank you. Our next question, where can I buy my textbooks for my classes?
Textbooks, there's I guess 3 main places. So UFE bookstore, standard. Also, I use Books to Go a lot. It's like books number 2 and go website, and you can set it for your course and for your school, and then connect with students like at UFE that are selling the textbook you need. And there's also UFE Textbook Exchange, it's called. It's a page on Facebook. People post and sell textbooks on there as well.
I just wanted to add to that. I think it's also important to find out whether your course actually requires a textbook or not, because I think like almost every course says that it requires a textbook, but then you probably like sometimes you never even use it. So maybe by asking previous students or reaching out to the professor and asking if the textbook is required for the course or not.
Good point there. All right, so our next question, how do I overcome barriers that I'll face in my first year at UFE?
So I guess we could start with trying to find people to connect with and getting that support. So support from friends, family, the school. It's all, especially school support and professor support, I know is always there. So making sure you reach out to people and try to do things besides academics. If you can, make the time for that and make time to take care of yourself as well. Yeah, and just making sure you have those connections with people can be really helpful to overcome any barriers you face.
I think maybe learning how to manage your stress is really key, because a lot of people, I think maybe like prior to university, didn't feel the same like degree of stress that people tend to feel in university. Like things pile up a little bit, you're a little bit more independent, and it just gets a little bit more in your head. So I think learning good ways to manage it. Like for me, I found I always played sports growing up, but I never appreciated how exercise really helped me. Like even just doing a little bit in the morning, or I just have been like nose to the grind all day and I just need like a little break. Good. It's just good to know ways that help you de-stress. And I think like knowing that is always just kind of key to get through any challenge, but especially just in first year when things start to get like feel a little bit crazy in your head and there's like a lot going on, then it's just good to know good ways for yourself to manage stress, and like Sam said, like reach out to your peers, reach out to your support system, always be aware of those and make the most of them.
Awesome, thank you. And then for our very last question, do you have any other tips for students?
All right. Tips are take breaks, like but proper restorative breaks. So like move your body, have something good to eat, fuel your body. Don't just like sit on your phone for half an hour. You have to reset yourself and making sure, you're rested and fueled. Missing a bunch of sleep is not going to help you remember things. Like we talked about earlier, try not to cram so that you're well rested and you can actually perform well in all of your assignments and exams.
Those are all great tips. I'd also like to add that there's also lots of professors available for a specific course for like the same course. So there's also, you can use ratemyprofessors.com to try and find a professor that might be more suited towards the way you'd like to learn or study. So that's a good tool to use when you're trying to choose your courses and select your professors as well.
Just wanted to add again, I kind of said it earlier, but like, especially when we go back to in class, it's a little bit easier to do this, but like when you go into your classes and stuff like that, don't be nervous to talk to the person beside you. Like they're in the same boat as you, especially for first years. And again, even with making like group chats and stuff like that, again, they're in the same position. So don't be nervous to reach out to them. And then also ask if you can talk to the years above you, ask them questions about certain courses, certain teachers. Again, if there's like textbooks for that course, I found that to be so helpful, was just like talking to people and getting their experiences.
Yeah, I guess the online version, a little bit about what Hannah said, is use like all the professors are using these discussion chats. I would encourage you to like really use them and reply to people when you see an answer that kind of speaks to you, and don't be afraid to message them. Like I know like it's not weird or anything. It's just really, really helpful to connect with people. And like Hannah said, like everybody's in the same boat. Everyone's kind of like, oh, like, shoot, I wish I had a friend on this assignment. I wish I had someone to talk to, or I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. It's so good to have just at least like one person in your course you can reach out to. And if you're the one that reaches out, you probably know like they're going to really, really appreciate it. If you've been reached out to before, you know, to get brought into something and to feel a part of something and to make a new friend always feels really good. So don't be afraid to do it.
I was going to jump off what Katrina was saying and just say either online with the discussion groups or in person, just make sure you engage in class. Sitting in the back and just kind of zoning out can make learning really difficult, but when you're engaged, it makes it a lot more interesting, and it really helps me learn as well.
Awesome. Didn't anyone else have anything to add? Okay, great. For everyone watching this, if anyone has any further questions for our panelists, please either message them directly or you can email us at KINSA as well. Once again, on behalf of KINSA, we would like to thank you all for joining us today, and we would like to thank each and every one of the panelists who took time out of their busy days to help answer these questions. Thank you, everyone.
So pretend like we just cut the recording.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. That was really good. Does anybody have like a couple, just because we're doing like a couple more panels, any suggestions for the next ones we do? They would be with fewer people, like it was quite a few to do with 8, but any suggestions that would make things a bit easier, or anything else that I should have like emailed and let you guys know?
I think maybe just like going off the order, because I feel like some people were like confused maybe. So just like, I like how Sam put like an order in. I thought that we were just going based on the order, and then I don't know, I think that like saves the confusion maybe.
Yeah,
sounds good. I like completely forgot that there was like an order to go off, so I'm really sorry about guys.
Me too. Like I was like, okay, I didn't really know. So I just maybe that. I don't know.
I wasn't sure either.
Yeah.
We'll make
It's
sure
gone
we're
already.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
Anything else? Or even in the emails, was everything clear on there? Was there anything else I should have added in? Obviously I don't think I missed Amanda. I don't know. We'll see. I'll double check.
She texted, I just wasn't opening it during the thing. Oh.
There we go. Everything was good though. Otherwise pretty easy.
Oh, she said, oh no, she said she.
It's good how you guys had like one person to ask questions. I think that like really helped, I guess, because I don't know, like it's good for like one person to lead throughout the conversation. So it's good that you guys did that.
Good job, Nafeel.
Yeah, good job. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'll be doing the other ones too. So.
Yeah.
All right. Great. I'm gonna try. Yes, stop recording. Oh, I'm very scared. Okay. Let's see.